Shalom, shalom, everyone. Happy Sabbath day. This is the School of Knowledge, and this is our weekly Sabbath class. We'd like to say shalom, shalom to all of you all that are here today. We have a very special class today that is dealing with the Israelites. We've done the deception for the Muslims or those that are Muslim. We've done the deception of the Catholic Church. We've done the deception of the Christian Church. And now we have to deal with the Israelites. And this is very, very important. Like I said, this is one of those classes that I thought, and I apologize, my apologies, but I thought that I was going to be able to do this in one class, but I won't. This is part one, and there will be a part two because there's too much foundation that has to be laid for this for us to actually see and understand the things that are going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the presentation, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to read for this one, so no one has to worry about reading today. So I just wanted to put that up on the board and start from the beginning. All right, so you guys let me know if you can see the presentation.
Yes.
Okay, great. It's the Great Deception, Part 4. It is the Chariots of Yah. Now, this is very important because when I was in Christianity, I've always been a sci-fi fan. I always have been. I've always loved sci-fi. I've always been involved in it. I'm a Star Trek fan. I'm just going to tell you up front. It's the closest that I get to Yah in the kingdom and all the good stuff that go along with that. I'm into it. So I began to read scriptures, and I'm going to say this big announcement. Whoever it was that just called in, can you please put your phone on mute? If you guys are calling from another country because of the receptions that we get, we hear all the feedback. So if you don't mind, if you can put your phone on mute, and then if you have a question, use the chat line, and we'll definitely be reading them to make sure that we get your questions out there. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The Chariots of Yah. A lot of people don't understand what this means. And I remember when I was coming out of Christianity and my sister was still in there as a pastor, I was explaining to her, I said, I think the Most High travels around in a chariot. And she thought I was crazy. She said, so now you're trying to tell me that the God of the universe rides around in a spaceship, right? I said, well, from what I'm reading, that's what the scripture says. I said, now I don't have it all together. I said, but from what I'm reading, this is what the scripture says. So I want to start out with that because that's very, very important to understand exactly what the scripture says about Yah and how he travels. So I want to put this on the record. Like I said, the Christians do not teach this in the church. This is not taught ever. There's a whole lot of things that are not taught in the church, but this right here is never taught. So this is something that is very important for us to understand, even though it's there. And I promise you, I have not gone out of the Bible. Now, I could have gone into the Apocrypha, and I could have gone into some of the other books, but I like to stay within the Bible. That way, when the time comes to bring the topic up, if you take notes, you'll be able to talk about this topic among your Christian partners or friends or whatever and be able to reference the Bible. Because the first thing they say is, where are you getting your information from? Well, I say out of that book that's sitting up on that mantelpiece that you letting dust come on to. I ain't never read that, so we're going to read it today. So the Great Deception, Part 4, this is an open forum. Feel free to ask questions at any time, and we're going to try to get through these scriptures today. All right, any questions before we start? No? Okay, here we go. Go to the next one. All right, we're in Daniel chapter 7, verse number 9, and this is the Ancient of Days. This is Daniel in his captivity, and he is describing something that he saw. Daniel chapter 7, verse 9, he said, and I beheld till the thrones were cast down. These are all of the kingdoms that are around the earth. He was seeing a vision. And the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. Now, my first thing was wheels. I knew he had woolly hair, and I knew it was white as snow and looked like pure wool. And I knew they had described his throne in Revelations, but nobody talked about wheels. And I was like, wheels. So I'm going to go through some scriptures. So this is Daniel chapter 7. All right, so here we go. Let's see, I'm clicking on the wrong side. Okay, it says, the clouds of heaven. This is chapter 7, verse 13. He said, the clouds of heaven. I saw in the night vision, he was dreaming, behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And I said, clouds of heaven? What is the clouds of heaven? You know, because we hear about the clouds coming and the clouds doing this and the clouds doing that. And I kept saying, these sound to me like vehicles. And the pastors of the churches where I was saying, you tripping. We're not even going to go there with you. We're not going to talk about this. This is something that we're not going to discuss because that is not what this is talking about. And they shut me down. So I said, okay, let me do a little bit more research. Now, you can read these chapters in the entirety, but I couldn't put them all into this presentation because we would have been here all night. I already have almost 100 slides, so I'm going to try to get through this really, really quickly. All right, here we go. Ezekiel saw ships. This is Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 6. It said, the word of the Most High came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans, by the river Shebar, and the hand of the Most High was upon him. All right, let's see where we're going. And we're going to Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof was the color of amber, and out of the midst of the fire. So Ezekiel is saying something, and he's trying to describe to you in his day and time what it's similar to. So something is coming out of the sky. He said, and this is verse 5, he said, the four living creatures, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of four living creatures. And this was the appearance. They had the likeness of a man, verse 6, everyone had four faces, and everyone had four wings. That's what that looks like. For you all who can see it, that's what he described. And it came down. Here's the four faces. 1, 2, 3, 4. They had four wings. They had 2 to fly, 2 to cover, 2 at the bottom. Anybody have any questions? No? All right, let's go on. Verse 7. The soles of calf's foot. He said, and their feet were straight feet, and the soles of their feet were like the soles of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. What color is burnished brass?
Brown.
It's brown. Mm-hmm. This is what their feet look like. This is what Ezekiel saw. So these were not men. This was actually a creature. Anybody have any? If you can see the screen, I'm showing pictures today, so that's why I wanted everyone, if you can open up your screen to be able to see the screen, this is what we see. This is exactly what a calf's foot looks like. And this is the color of burnished brass. So they were this color. Okay? Here we go. Hands of a man, verse 8. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their four sides, and they four had their faces and their wings. So we go backwards, back up here to this one. There's the hands of a man. So they had a hand with 5 fingers. But the soles of their feet were like this. And this was their whole color. These are the hands of a man. This is what they had. So this was not a human being. This was a creature. All right, here we go. They had wings that joined. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went everyone straight forward. Each had 4 faces, and this is the likeness. This is verse 10. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, that was 1. The face of a lion, that's 2, on the right side. And they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and they 4 also had the face of an eagle. So on the right side it was a man and a lion, and on the left side it was an ox and an eagle. This is what it was. This is the right side. This is the left side. It truly was a creature. Any questions?
Yes, it truly is a creature.
And Sister Levia be like, well, why they got to have 4 faces? I said, that's one of the questions that you put on your list when we go to meet Yah. I don't have that answer. I can't answer that one. We are truly dealing with something that is supernatural. All right, here we go. 6 wings. Thus were their faces, and their wings were, in verse 11, wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined, one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. This is what they look like. This is the color, and this is what they look like in color. And I got these pictures off of the internet. I tried to find somebody who, was daring enough to try to draw an image, so that you could kind of visualize what it was like. This is what they look like. And their feet were like calf feet. The wheels, here we go with the vehicles. The appearance, we're in verse 16. The appearance of the wheel and their work were like unto the color of brill. And they 4 had one likeness. And their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. This is where I got in trouble at, because I was like, a wheel in the middle of a wheel? I said, that don't sound right. I said, that sounds something like a vehicle moving. And they'd be like, didn't I tell you not to bring that up in Bible class no more? We're not going to talk about that no more.
Oh, my goodness.
They were going to put me out, but that's okay. This is kind of what he saw. Ezekiel's trying to describe what he saw. This is at least what they think he saw. This may necessarily not be it, because, again, this is what someone else drew from what they thought Ezekiel saw. A wheel in the middle of the wheel with this creature and the legs of an ox, of a calf's foot, and the color of, this is what their color was, and this is how they look. All right, he said they moved on their side, verse 17. When they went upon their 4 sides, and they turned not when they went. They were dreadful. He said it was something to see. And I'm like, I can only imagine. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful. And their rings were full of eyes round about them 4. I said, now that sound like lights. At that point, the pastor raised his eyebrow at me like, one more outburst and you out of here. They moved, the way they moved, it said when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Here we go again. This is the picture. We're going to get into some juicy stuff, so just hold your horses, because we got to understand that Yah travels a certain way. So all I'm going to say so far is that when the Most High travels, he travels a certain way. And I'm going to get to that in a moment. Who controlled the wheels? Verse 20. It says, whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went. Whither was their spirit to go? And the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheel. So which means they had power to move it whichever way they wanted to move it. It's like we have a remote control car, and you can't see the remote control, but I'm controlling it like them drones that they have. They can control those drones from a command station. And then it tells it where to go. Its coordinates are set in there, and that drone goes where it goes, and they can watch it through satellite, go over to another country, drop a bomb, and it don't even seem like it's a plane in the sky. That's how technology has advanced. So this is another depiction of what they thought they saw. I think this might be a little bit more closer than what the other people saw, because this looks like a craft. It looks like some sort of a spacecraft. And Ezekiel is looking at this like, what in the world? But I want to say something, that these vehicles have always been seen. Okay. All the way through time, they have been seen. This is not anything that's a secret.
Not the flowers, not the...
All right, here we go. Continue. When 21, verse 21, when those went, these went. When those stood, these stood. When those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheel. All right. Any questions? Okay, here we go. The color of terrible crystal. And she said, verse 22, he said, and the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of the terrible crystal stretched forth over their head above. And I never could figure that out. I'm like, what is he talking about? He said everyone had two. Verse 23, and under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other, and everyone had two, which covered on this side, and everyone had two, which covered on that side, their bodies. So noise of a great water, verse 24. He said, and when they went, I heard the noise of their wings like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. So when they went to take off, it sounded worse than a helicopter. It was something to see. When they took off, he said it was the noise of great water. And you know how water can sound when it's crashing up against rock and those big waves is coming. It can sound very scary. So that's what he heard. He said in verse 25, and there was a voice from the firmament that was over their head when they stood and had let down their wings. So somebody commanded this thing to land. Watch what he said. This was the big one. The throne of Yah. This is all going on at the same time. He said in verse 26, and above the firmament that was over their head was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. So it was blue. The throne was blue. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man above it. I'm going to show you what somebody they just put it together. And it had to look like that.
Wow.
Now this is Ezekiel down here. That's Ezekiel down here. You see that little speck right there? That's Ezekiel.
Wow. Mm.
This is the terrible crystal that he saw. These are the four wheels, and those are the four creatures. And this is the sapphire stone, the throne, and this is Yah on the throne. He's even getting ready to describe the rainbow. This is what Ezekiel saw from somebody's depiction. This is what they put together. And look how big it is.
Mm.
It's beautiful, but it's scary at the same time.
I'm telling you. We getting ready to deal with something. This is a whole nother lesson here. This is how the Most High travels. This is what Ezekiel saw. And this is him. You see this little speck right here standing? He's watching us. Can you imagine seeing something like this?
No, not at all.
My
But
goodness.
I mean, aren't the four faces, aren't they the part of the council?
I know they're the ones that travel with him. We gonna get to that, but they are the ones that definitely travel with him. And when they land, the wheels land. When they get up, the wheels raise up. He said in the crystal was terrible. He said it was a terrible crystal. Here we go, watch. He said fire was everywhere, verse 27, and I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as if it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about it. He said a rainbow covered. He's in verse 28. As the appearance of the bow that is in the sky, in the clouds, in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of Yah. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. Here go again. There go the rainbow. And there go the thing. Everybody that sees it says that the throne is sapphire blue. Everybody that sees it. Any questions? So from what he saw, this is about the closest that I've ever seen anybody come to a picture. But this thing is humongous. You see how big this is?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's not of this world.
Right.
Any questions at all? So I wanted to deal with y'all first so that we understand that, he travels in a vehicle. And well, we'll get to that later. But, yes, this is how he travels, and this is what Ezekiel saw. All right, let's move to the next one. Here we go.
I have a question.
The chariots of Yisrael are a heavenly army. Why do I say that? Because the church does not teach this. Did anybody on this class that's coming here, that's been here, or for the first time, have you ever been taught that Yah has an army that travels by vehicle?
No.
Never.
I'm not either.
Never taught that Yah has an army that travels by vehicle. And that army is referred to as the host of heaven. I'm getting ready to show you. Because the reason why I have to lay the foundation for this is because before I can get into the deception, you have to know the foundation of Israel. Because this is very, very important for us to know. Because, I ain't going to get into that. Let me go to the next slide. Here we go. The chariots of Israel. The chariots are heavenly flying vehicles, and the angels of heaven ride in them. And I got this from an article on Google, and I will provide you with her version of it, because if I can find somebody to say it as well as I can or better, I always like to use them. She said, I hope people know that there are advanced beings in the universe, and they have advanced technology, which we know they do. So-called UFOs. It says in ancient hieroglyphic pictures of so-called UFOs are commonly depicted, and also even helicopter-looking flying vehicles to planes and ships are on pyramids, caves, stones, walls all over the earth. So guess what? We didn't advance to a new technology. Guess what we did? We backed up to the technology that was already here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We never advanced. But you know what? Who came and taught us that technology?
Indeed.
Who taught us
Wasn't it
that
the fallen
technology?
angels?
Say again?
Fallen angels.
The fallen angels came down and taught this technology. Here we go. Watch. Look at this. These are hieroglyphics on the wall. Look at the spaceships. Here's one. Here's one. They've been telling us the story the whole time, and nobody really paid any attention. Watch this one. Look at that. That looks like a helicopter of some kind. This definitely looked like a helicopter. Different planes. All of these are on the walls of the hieroglyphics in different museums and different places. So, we never advanced. We just caught up to. And this is why it's so important that we know these things so that we're not tricked when the time comes. Because, flying planes was already there. They already had those things. Those things were already in place. Let's see. The mission. The angels of the Most High watch and protect his children, and the angels throughout time have appeared to many of the children of Israel, which we know that to be true. Let's find out how. Led them by day and night. We're in Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 21 and 22. I'll give you a minute. It says, and the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night. That's what it says, right? It said the Lord did, right?
Right.
Watch what it says. And they stayed with them. And verse 22, he took not away the pillar of cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. Here's some pictures. Look at the people following the cloud. Somebody's edition of what they thought it was. This is just some pictures that I found. Look at the people leaving Egypt, going into the wilderness, and the cloud is following them. That's by day. This is where they followed them by day.
That was Exodus.
This is Exodus, yes, ma'am. Exodus chapter 13, verse 21 and 22. This is the Exodus out of Egypt. When they were being followed by the cloud, they were following the cloud to their destination. This is by day. This is by night. When they pitched their tents, remember they pitched all of their tents according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And then remember, this is the tent tabernacle in the middle. And they set up a tabernacle for them to be able to worship Yah. And we'll go over that tabernacle teaching too, because that's powerful. Guess what, people? We're going right back to the same place where we leave the second time. Here we go. Here's another one. That's a little better. Look at how the fire is coming down into the tabernacle from up in the sky. Yes, this is the look at how detailed and organized it was. It was very detailed. It was very organized, very much so. Any questions? By day, so the cloud led us by day, and the fire kept us by night. It was a light to us so we could see. And we had no flashlights and all that stuff. It was the light. It lit up this whole area. All right, here we go. Now we're in Ezekiel chapter 14 now, verse 19. It said, let the Israelites, it's supposed to be Israelites, and it led Israel into the wilderness. It said, and the angel of Yah, now he says it's the angel of Yah, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. So as they traveled, he did what he moved, or he was in the front, then he moved to the back. Ezekiel 14 and 20, he protects Israel from the Egyptians. This is one of my favorites here, because this is a point where the Pharaoh and the Egyptians was following behind them, trying to get ready to kill them. And the Most High told Moses, he said, take them down in the middle of those mountains where it looked like they trapped. He said, and leave them there, because I'm getting ready to finally do away with Pharaoh and his army. But he told him, and watch what the angel did. He said, protect Israel from the Egyptians. And it came to pass, and it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of the Israelites. It was a cloud and a darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night. So it protected the Israelites, but it blinded the Egyptians so they couldn't figure out where they were.
Sister Aina.
Yes, ma'am.
You keep saying Ezekiel, but it's Exodus we're in.
Exodus. Yeah, I thought I said Exodus chapter 14.
For those listening on the phone, they should go to Exodus.
Yeah, Exodus chapter 14 and 20. I'm sorry about that. So the first one, yes, it was Exodus chapter 13 and then Exodus chapter 14. I apologize for that. So they were working under Yah's instruction to keep Israel safe, because it looked as though Israel was trapped. But the Most High put them in that position on purpose so that he could finally do away with Pharaoh and his army. But when they had to stay there overnight, the angels blocked them from being able to know where they were.
Oh.
Any questions?
Powerful.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. This all in the Word. That's why I say I like to stay in the Bible, because can't nobody say nothing. It's in the Scriptures. Watch, here we go. That's the light that he gave.
Ooh.
That's by night. It lit up everything.
Can you imagine us going through that?
Girl, we can go through it again. We can go through it again. We getting ready to do this one more again. We getting ready to do it one more again, y'all. One more. And somebody say history to repeat itself. Yes, yes, yes. This is what we have to look forward to. Look at all the people down up in here. You know, and I thank those people who tried to put it together. You know what I'm saying? In visuals so you can see it. Because I'm a visual person. I like to see visual things.
Right.
This is what he did for Israel, and then he sent his own armies to do this. Watch, I'm going to show you. This is all in the Scriptures. Here we go. Let's see where we at. All right, let's do this. He says, Yah warns Israel. Now we're in Exodus chapter 23. We're in verse 20. He said, behold, I sent an angel before thee. Now he's telling you to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Watch what he tells you. He says, obey his voice. He said, verse 21, he said, obey of him and beware of him and obey his voice. He said, provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Here we go, verse 22. He said, but if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thy enemies and an adversary unto thy adversaries. My angel will go first. He said, for my angel shall go before thee to bring thee in unto the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Havites and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. Can you imagine? This is supernatural. All the things that we go through is supernatural. Even though we have been, this is the earth and it was prepared for us, we have a supernatural Elohim. And he lives outside of the rim that we live in. He is not existing in this dispensation or in this area of space. He's living in a whole nother dimension. And he has vehicles. We're not from here. This is the place that he prepared for us. But he's in a whole nother dimension. There's vehicles there. Like I said, we didn't advance the technology. We were actually taught technology that already existed because it existed before the earth. It was already here. Critical. Any questions at all whatsoever? I was real quiet today. I knew you was going to be quiet on me. I said they're going to be quiet on me. Ain't nobody going to have no questions or nothing.
Yeah, you know mine is trying to process all this. It's a lot.
I know.
Just leave you speechless.
I mean, but it's scripture.
I know.
They don't even teach this in church. Even though they teach that they're going to get beamed up off the earth and taken away from and into another place where they know not of, they don't even teach this. Because it's too far-fetched for them to think that it's a vehicle involved. Ain't no telling, our Lord, ain't no telling how. I'm let me shut up. I was getting ready to say something. This is a real reality. The ships are invisible. He said, the Most High's angels are here, but they're invisible in their ships. I am sure they are surrounding the earth. I believe they are uncloaking their ships from time to time to send the children of Israel a sign.
What is it? Please don't call.
Anybody have a question? Boy, you guys are quiet today. I mean, you quiet. Jeez.
Oh.
All right, let's go. Here we go. Now, this is 2 Kings chapter 6. This is some of the things, the more things that the angels have done. And this proves that they're invisible. This is a scripture that proves that they're invisible. Remember, the Syrian army was getting ready to come up against Israel. And the Most High will whisper their strategy into the ear of Elisha. And Elisha would go and tell the captain of the army of Israel their strategy. He would say, don't go down that way, because if you go down that way, the Syrian army is there and they're going to come upon you. He said, go in this direction. So every time the army thought that they had an ambush, when they went to do the ambush, Israel was gone. Just how much he loves you. And guess what? They did it a couple more times, and then the captain said, now, we got a traitor in the camp. Somebody is committing treason. And one of his army men said, no, that's Elisha the prophet. He's the one that's doing this. So he decided he was going to pounce down on the prophet. And when the prophet's servant got up that day to go out to stretch, and he went out to get some fresh air, when he woke up, he saw that the whole army had surrounded the city. He ran in and told Elisha, we are surrounded, we are toast. And this is what Elisha told him. Verse 17. This goes to prove that they are invisible and that they can appear and disappear at whim. He said, and Elisha prayed and said, Yah, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Most High opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. The Most High had sent his army for two people. He was getting ready to pounce. He sent a heavenly army to pounce down on a human army for two people, for Israel. These are the things that we have to look forward to. This is what we have at our disposal. This is what we had at our disposal before we messed up. Now I have a question. How could we possibly have forfeited all of this? I mean, it's just, I pose that to the table. How could we have given up this kind of a power? And now we sit here in the Christian churches and the religions of the land of our captors, trying to pray for power when we had it all along. We praying for healing. We already had that. We praying for a sign. We already had that. Angels was already coming in and out of our dimension to protect us against the human countries and nations that we came up against, because we were the chosen people of the Most High God. How could we have given that up?
Right.
Chariots. Here we go. They reveal themselves. They are uncloaking their ships from time to time to send the children of Israel a sign. I know I've seen a couple. I've seen some things in the sky that wasn't supposed to be there, that was just sitting still.
Yeah,
I've looked out the window and I've seen some stuff levitating up in the sky with a light beaming from it that wasn't a star, because it had colors in it.
I've seen one chasing another one.
We've seen them. We've seen them. I told you my son and his friend was playing in this Catholic church. And my son couldn't have been no more than maybe 11, maybe 12. He might have been 11 or 12, and they were playing in the Catholic church, and he said He said, Mommy, we was playing, and all of a sudden this big ship revealed itself. He said, and we just stood there and just looked. I said, well, what did you do? He said, we was froze. We just looked. He said, and it just disappeared.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What about the crop circles? Are the crop circles one of those signs?
Well, you know what? I am going to get to that. There's the speculation, and when I finish, I'm gonna hold that question until the end, because we're going to deal with that. That could be a part of the deception. Because think about it like this: if people have never been taught this, and they in their spiritual lifetime, and they've never been taught this, the first thing that they're gonna say is, "Oh, that's an alien." Aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, my goodness, they're going alien. We're being invaded.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never been taught this. And he said, my people perish for a lack of what?
Knowledge.
Because they reject knowledge, don't they?
They reject knowledge.
Yes, ma'am. That's what they told me when I was in there. They said, we don't want to hear that no more. Don't bring it up no more. Here you go with that stuff. Don't bring that up no more. We need to understand this.
Right.
All right. There's some things we need to discuss so that we understand what's a part of our kingdom. This came with Yah. When he chose us to be his people, all of these things came unto us. That's why the Messiah said, the kingdom of heaven has come unto you. You got access to the army. You got access to the gifts. You got access to the travel. You got access to the sight. You'll be able to see it in the different dimensions. All these things have been open unto you. And people don't even want it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even understand what it is. Okay, Sister Sanaya, I see you. Yeah, they don't even know what it is. They don't even want it. And then they get up on church on these pulpits. The kingdom. You don't even know what you're talking about. They sweating and stomping and spitting and don't even have a clue as to what they're talking about.
Did you see the armies gathered to fight against the Most High? I didn't hear what you said.
Could this be the armies, when the armies gather to fight against them? Of course we're going to get to that too. Hold your question. We're going to get to that. We coming to that too.
Mm-hmm.
But if you never know what to expect, you won't know.
Right,
when we talk about the kingdom of heaven, what is it? There's angels there of all different classifications of angels. There's vehicles there. There's Yah there. There's power there. Deliverance is there. All of those things that just is some stuff we don't even know nothing about. Or we used to know and it has been taken from us.
Right.
All right, here we go. Next slide. Now, this is very, very important. Pay very close attention. King David's words. We're in 1 Chronicles, chapter 28. And we're going to go 10 through 19. 1 Chronicles, chapter 28, 10 through 19. We're going to start with verse 10. Watch what he says. He says, take heed now, for the Most High has chosen thee to build a house. For the sanctuary, be strong and do it. Now check this out. This is what's going on. King David has made an announcement to all those that are standing about. He's talking to the priest. He's talking to all the workers and everyone. He's giving a commandment of how Yah wants this thing done. When Solomon gets ready to build the temple, watch what he says. The blueprints, verse 11. And then David gave to Solomon his son the pattern of the porch and of the houses thereof and of the treasuries thereof and of the upper chambers thereof and of the inner parlors thereof and of the place of the mercy seat. Verse 12, all the chambers. And the pattern of all that he had by the Spirit of the courts of the house of the Most High, and of all the chambers round about, of the treasuries of the house of Yah, and of the treasuries of the dedicated things. He's laying out the whole thing for Solomon. Watch what he says. All the work of the service. Verse 13. Also for the courses of the priests and the Levites, for all the work of the service of the house of the Most High, and for all the vessels of service in the house of the Most High. That's what he does. Gold and silver. Verse 14. He gave of gold by weight for things of gold, for all instruments of all manner of service. Silver also for all instruments of silver by weight for all instruments of every kind of service. Watch. Verse 15. All measures and weights, even the weight for the candlesticks of gold, and for their lamps of gold by weight for every candlestick, and for the lamps thereof, and for the candlesticks of silver by weight, both for the candlesticks and also for the lamps thereof, according to the use of every candlestick. Watch what he says. All the tables, verse 16. And by weight he gave gold for the tables of the showbread, for every table, and the likeness of silver for the tables of silver.
What did you say?
Watch it here. Verse 17, gold and silver for utensils. Watch.
My daughter wants to get in.
I can hear somebody talking. I don't know who sister. I think that's Sister Sanaya. For pure gold for the flesh hooks, and the bowls and the cups, for the golden basins, he gave gold by weight for every basin, and likewise silver by weight for every basin of silver. Watch. Here we go. The pattern of the chariots. Watch what he says. And for the altar of incense, refined gold by weight, and gold for the pattern of the chariot of the cherubims that spread out their wing and cover the ark of the covenant of the Most High. He said when you make the altar of incense, you make sure you make a pattern of the chariot that the cherubims fly in. Woo! Y'all don't see it. I'm telling you what we got. This is our kingdom. He told them, this is the watch. Now look, I'm going to show you something. That's what it looked like on the inside. That's how it looked.
Woo, that's a lot.
This was the inside of the temple that Solomon did by gold.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Ooh, that's a lot going on.
This is our kingdom. This is what we gave up.
Right.
This is what Yah was. This is the Holy of Holies where the Most High came and dwelled among us, and the high priest came in and communicated with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it says. This is the altar of incense. And inside of here was a pattern of the chariot of the way that the vehicle, look at it. And for the altar of incense, refined gold by weight. I just read it. And the gold for the pattern of the chariot of the cherubim that spread out their wings and cover the ark of the covenant of the Most High.
Oh,
so there was an engravement of a picture of a chariot. And somebody said that it looked kind of like this. There's the chariot right there.
Wow.
It had to be circular because it had to fit down in here.
Right.
Did you all know this stuff?
No.
I mean, these are the things that Christianity don't bother to teach you because they own some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is confirmation and proof that not only do we serve a mighty God, but even that his cherubims and his angels, they travel by vehicle sometimes. Watch what he says. We're going to go to this one. Yah told King David, he said, verse 19, he said, all this, said David, the Most High made me understand in writing by his hand upon me, even all the works of this pattern. Yah gave him specific instructions on what to do.
Right. Right.
So it wasn't somebody else's imagination. It wasn't that somebody had an imagination on what it was that they wanted to put, or that they were putting something down that they wanted to be spectacular. No, y'all gave them specific instructions on how to do this. Verse 20, from king to king. And David said to Solomon, his son, be strong and of good courage, and do it. Fear not, nor be dismayed. For the Most High, the Elohim, even my Elohim, will be with you. What'd he say? He will not fail thee nor forsake thee until thou hast finished all the work for the service of the house of the Most High. It was spectacular. And all of the nations that are around us today, or they can attest to the fact that it was something spectacular. They said there's never been a kingdom like ours. And even when we went into captivity, they said the people used to say, these are kings in exile. They never went against us the way we've been gone against today. Critical. This is what we gave up. This is what we gave up. Any questions at all whatsoever? Power of the Most High Yah.
I can certainly see how men's heart gonna fail them. But that's a lot to take in.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I could have even went out of the book and went into Second Ezra, where Ezra talked about how big the ship was. He said it didn't have an end, or it didn't have. I couldn't see the end or the beginning. It was so big.
Ooh. It's hard to imagine in 26 months our captivity will be over, and to know that we can potentially see all this.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now you understand what I was saying. You know, it's not necessarily to say that we're leaving in 29. Right. But look what you're going to have access to once the curse is over with the Most High Yah. Because we're going to still be in captivity. We still going to be in the lands where we were driven. But we're going to be here because the Most High has to make a statement. The thing about it is that the curse will be over. We will be in the process of leaving, but the curse will be over, and he will turn around and face Israel. And once again, those things will be allotted unto you. You will be able to see those things. Once again. Anybody got any questions? I'm so sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to blow your mind like that. I have to put it in that way so that you can understand just how much we have access to, just how much we've lost. The things that we gave up because we didn't want to serve him.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
There's this idea that people just teleport and they appear and disappear. So I heard someone say sometimes maybe not in a chariot. So is that, do they generally travel in chariots, or is it possible that sometimes they don't?
Well, we're going to see about that. That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that question because you asked it at the most perfect opportune moment. And I'm getting ready to show you why. I'm going to show you what I mean. The festival of the season of AD 66. This was very important because it was the day of Pentecost. And the priests were going into that same temple that I showed you, as they always did, to prepare. And something happened that year. And this was put on record by a couple of the historians. Josephus was one. And there was a couple of other ones. I didn't get all of them because I didn't want to spend all day trying to do that. But it says, besides these signs, a few days after the feast, on the 1 and 20th day of the month of Artemisius, or Jair, a certain prodigious and incredible phenomenon appeared. Wonder what it was. Watch. It couldn't be hid. He said, I suppose the account of it would seem to be a fable, were it not related by those that saw it, and were not the events that followed it so considerable a nature as to deserve such signals. Wonder what happened. Let's see what they saw. Chariots and troops. He said, before sunsetting, chariots and troops of soldiers in their armor were seen running about among the clouds and the surrounding of cities. So there's the answer to your question, sis. Sometimes they are not. Sometimes they in vehicles. And sometimes they're not. Watch. Judgment of Jerusalem, heavenly phenomenon. These are the things that happened that day. It said they saw a star resembling a sword. A comet fell. They called it Halley's Comet. A bright light shining around the altar and the temple. A vision of chariots and soldiers running around among the clouds and all cities of Palestine. This was on record.
There had to be something to see.
Let's see. This is the picture that they said they saw. Those are the battles going on up in the sky.
Wow.
Can you imagine looking out your window and seeing some men up in armor with swords fighting in the sky? Watch. It said the priests preparing for service. Moreover, at the feast which we call Pentecost, as the priests were going by night into the inner court of the temple, as their custom was to perform their sacred ministration, they said that in the first place they felt a quakening. So it felt like it was an earthquake, and heard a great noise. And after that they heard a sound as a great multitude saying, let us remove from hence. This is in Jewish wars. This is in the book of Josephus. So the angels were in the temple at the time, and they were always in the temple, even when they built it. What I showed you with the statues of gold and everything, the angels were actually there.
While all that was going on.
They've always been there. Not while that was going on, they've always been in there. It was always there. This is in the Jewish wars, and it's the book, I think this is called Book 6, verse 3. And they used to have a really good picture. But they don't. But the angels were there. They said, let us get out of here. It's time for us to go. Because Most High was getting ready to judge Jerusalem. It was right on the precipice of 70 A.D. when it was getting ready to be taken down. There's some pictures here, just some few pictures, that's all. Just a few pictures here. Chariots transported Israel to heaven. Oh, what's this all about? They do transport. All right. 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. This is Elijah and Elisha, the chariots of Israel. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariots of Israel and the horsemen thereof. He said, and he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces. Can you imagine? We got one more incident in the New Testament. Yehudah was transported. Acts chapter 1, verse 9 through 11. He said, and when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. He was taken up. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel. Come back the same way. He said, verse 11, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yehudah, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Now, those are the incidents of Israel. Now we got to get into the incidents where he's coming back for war, because this is going to be the big one right here. So get your pens and your papers out so that you have this. This is end time prophecy. The host of heaven coming in chariots. Isaiah chapter 29, verse 6. It says, thou shalt be visited of the Most High of hosts with thunder, with earthquake, and great noise, with storms and tempests and flames of devouring fire. So he coming. Nahum chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. Yah is jealous, and the Most High revenges. The Most High revenges and is furious. The Most High will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. Watch. Verse 3, will not acquit the wicked. The Most High is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. For the Most High has his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. Psalms chapter 68, 17. So guess what he said? Ain't nobody going to get away. So guess what? You don't have to worry about the police shooting nobody down, and you don't have to worry about what they do in the courtrooms, and you don't have to worry about the jury signing them, acquitting them of all the murders that they have committed. You don't have to worry about everybody smicking and snirking like it's not. Don't even worry about. To our young people, don't even pick up a stick. Prophecies of the chariots. Here we go. Psalm 68 and 17. Listen to what it says. The chariots of Yah are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Most High is among them as in Sinai in the holy place. Here we go. Jeremiah 4 and 13. Behold, he shall come up as clouds, and his chariots shall be as whirlwinds. His horses are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled. They said, game over with. And they honestly think they're getting ready to war against him. I'm like, who told you was going to win?
I know, right? Even have a chance.
Even have a chance. Here's another one, Isaiah 31:3. Now watch what he said. Now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horse is flesh and not spirit. When the Most High shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they shall all fail together. Isaiah 31:4. For thus saith the Most High, for thus has the Most High spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey. When a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall the Most High of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion and for the hill thereof.
Hallelujah.
Isaiah 31:5, watch what he say. As birds flying, so will the Most High of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also he will deliver it, and passing over he will preserve it. They getting ready to come out the sky doing all kind of stuff when the time comes. Watch, here we go. Isaiah 66:14. It says, when ye see this, your heart shall rejoice, your bones shall flourish like an herb, and the hand of the Most High shall be known toward his servants, and his indignation toward his enemies. Watch, Isaiah 66:15. For behold, the Most High will come with fire and with his chariots, like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with the flames of fire. Watch, Isaiah 66:16. For by fire and by his sword will the Most High plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Most High shall be many. Watch, 66:17. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith Yah. So y'all eating pork, you better stop. That's against the law. Here we go. Psalms 104:3. Who layeth the beams of his chamber in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. Here we go. An invasion with his troops, Habakkuk 3:16. When I heard, my belly trembled. My lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble. When he cometh up unto the people, he will invade them with his troops. Don't be an invasion. Watch, Revelation 1:7. He said, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. And they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so. Hallelujah. Last one. They shall be beamed up. He's talking about the two witnesses. After they lay dead in the street for 3 days and 3 nights, and the world rejoices because they figured they had killed them, watch what happens. He says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So this people, everybody's going to see. That's why I said when everybody talking about the game is over and we got a lot of stuff to happen first. And it is no way that that's going to happen in September. It's too much that has to happen that we have to look forward to.
Right.
Way too much stuff. Part 2, the deception of Israel. Now, we're going to get into this next week because the deception is going to be this. How do we know which ones is ours and which ones is the enemy? Because if they came here and they taught the technology, then guess what that means? They have the technology.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately for Israel, they think that every ship they see is of Yah. Question and answer time. Okay, let me answer the sister's about the crop circle. That's a part of my answer when it comes to the crop circles, because we don't know who it is that's making those. It's a possibility that it could be the Most High. We don't know, who's making them. And while we're in this captivity, I don't think we will know one way or the other that who's making it or who's doing it. So, but it's a possibility because there's so many different ones that are doing it, that they see with different patterns to them, and everything is so different. We just don't know at this point. You know what I mean?
Okay. Right.
There's no way to know.
Wow.
There's just no way to know in this captivity. We can guess and we can hope, but there's really no way to know. And then AB says, because of the earthly power Satan gave men for their allegiance to him, they are foolishly forced to build weaponry to try to fight a losing battle. You are absolutely correct. And they really think they're going to win. They really do.
Right.
They really think they're going to win. I'm like, who told you was going to win? This guy told me, he said, you know what I think the problem is with the people and the women issue? He said, I think Yah is a woman. I said, he is. He's both male and female. He said, I really do. He said, I think the woman is the one that we're dealing with. I said, no, he's both. Can you imagine a creature like this? Seeing something like this?
No.
As big as they are, and believe me, people, they're not little at all whatsoever. And the reason why I say that is because of the deception is going to be so great. Because there's a YouTube clip out where this man supposedly has had access to high military clearance, and he's doing an interview with a lady, and she says, well, what have you seen? He said, well, they have a photograph in the Department of Defense of a ship. He said, and they have men that are coming off the ship. And she said, well, are they like you and me? He said, yeah, they are, but they're black. She said, are they brown? He said, no, they are black. She said, are they brown skinned? He said, no, they are black, like the color black. He said, well, how tall are they? He said, about 7 feet tall.
Wow.
Now, whoever this is, we don't know. So, Israel is so thirsty and ready for a war that they could be deceived that way as well.
Right.
And we really are going to have to pray so that we know who we dealing with, because all they got to do is a black man come off with white woolly hair and step up. They going to swear up and down that that's Yah. It's a powerful thing. This is the nation. This is the kingdom that we have at our disposal. Any questions? This is question and answer time now. Or anything you want to ask, anything, if I can answer it, I will try to do that. But was this good?
Oh, yeah, absolutely it was.
Did we establish the presence that we have chariots in our kingdom? And that they have been instrumental in leading us through this journey as Israelites. They took us through the wilderness. They protected us through the wilderness. They took Elijah up off the earth. Enoch was taken. Enoch even talks about, I didn't go into the book of Enoch. I stayed out of it. But Enoch even talks about, he said, I was taken up into a flying house. He said it was dreadful. He said it was dark and cold and it was dreadful. He said, and then when I got comfortable, when I came to myself, the angel took me up into another flying house that was bigger than the first one. He said, and there I saw him sitting on the throne. And you think your people, when you worried about your family not coming into the knowledge, they're going to be sitting on your doorstep. You ain't even going You don't have to worry about nothing, because what they're getting ready to see with their natural eye is something that nobody is prepared for. I don't care how sanctified you are. I don't care how much Israel you got in you. I don't care how much you've been keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Nobody's prepared to see this kind of stuff.
I sure not.
There's something that's baffling me, and that's not a good word. But it's that, okay, so going back to Enoch, he goes up into the first chariot, and then he goes into a larger chariot that takes him to a larger house, and there he sees him sitting on the throne. But that means that he's finite, that there's a beginning and an end. And when I think of Yah, I think of him as not being contained by anything, or not being able to be contained by anything. So on the one hand, I understand that. But if that be the case, it's almost like he can be accessed and almost destroyed. Do you know what I'm saying? When I think of Yah, I think of infinite. There's no any beginning, there's no end. And so to have him seated on a throne, it's like I understand both concepts, and yet one, to me, almost contradicts the other.
It really doesn't. Let me tell you why it doesn't. It's because, again, and I'll say this for everybody who is listening, you have to divorce what religion has taught you. Because religion has taught us that Yah is a big puff of smoke, and that he's a spirit that just dwells out into the earth. No, he's a being. And guess what? He has no beginning. You're the only one that had a beginning. He has none. And, you know, I got in trouble one time. I'm going to tell you a little story. I was in church, and I was coming out of the streets back into Christianity. And I was sitting in service one day, and I kept saying, well, wonder where he came from. Wonder where did he start from? I wonder how he had like you, he had to have a beginning. Everybody has one. I don't understand that. And as God is my witness, that pastor got up on that pulpit, and I don't even know if he knew what he's saying. He said, some of y'all out there is worried about where God came from. He said to tell you, don't worry about that. Get your soul right. And it shocked me. I was like, oh, my God. He read my mind. He ain't supposed to read my mind, but he did. Because guess what? We've been taught a bunch of malarkey in there in terms of the fact that he's a spirit that just hovers. And you know why I can prove that? He said he created us in what?
Right.
Image.
In his own image.
Right.
So we're not floating. We have arms. And I did a teaching one day, and I'll do it again for you, sis. I did a teaching about how he has arms, he has legs, he has eyes, he has hair, he has a mouth, he has emotions. He goes through he said, I'm a jealous God. I had no other God before me. He just is. And it's hard for us to even reach that concept, even being a puff of smoke. Where'd that come from?
Right.
But that's only because we have a beginning and an end. That's why when he speaks things into your life and he gives us prophecies, we get overly anxious and we get discouraged because he speaks it in eternity. And we say, well, why come it's not happening yet? Because it was spoken in eternity. It has to manifest at the appropriate time. Time was created for us.
Right.
He has no beginning and no end. He said, I'm the first and the last. And that's what when you absolutely take on that transformation where you will go from mortal back to immortal, you won't either. You'll have no end. You won't have one. You'll live on forever. He's a being, and I had to come to that conclusion myself. I was like, okay, I'm getting confused here now. Are you a puff of smoke, or are you a being? What are you? He said, I created you in my image. What are you? Guess what? John saw him in Revelation chapter 1. What did he say? He said he had hair like lamb's wool. He had eyes with flaming fire. He had feet the color of burnt brass, and that's black. And he was sitting on the throne. Everybody that's been seeing him, from Daniel to Ezekiel to John, saw him sitting on the throne.
Wow.
He has a kingdom. That's why I like Star Trek so much, because he has a kingdom. And I was like, wonder what it's like up there. I wonder what the kingdom is like. Is there cities? Is there spaceships traveling instead of cars? You know, do they have houses? Are they living? You know, that's why I love Star Trek, because it gets me as close as I will possibly get for right now. You know, and I'm like, man, I wonder what goes on up there. You know, is it bright all the time? Does nighttime fall? You know, but it's a very detailed kingdom. But one thing that I know that there was a war. There was a war. And that's how Lucifer ended up doing what he did, because there was a war. Mm-hmm. And guess what? When this is all over with, after this is all done, the city that he created is going to come down to earth. And earth will then be the epicenter of the universe.
Wow.
This will be the kingdom, because this will be where Yah's going to be.
Right.
Isn't that powerful?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Anybody else have any questions? Y'all so quiet. You're so quiet. I love this. I really do. I love it, because, you know, we got to start thinking on a supernatural mindset. You know, I think Israel is scared of the supernatural, because these brothers make everything practical. I mean, they break it down to the point where I think they're really afraid, and I can understand that, because guess what? I don't know if I'm ready to see it either, but we're getting ready to.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
First, I have a statement to make. This lesson today, oh, my goodness, off the charts, off the chain, whatever you want to call it. I'm sitting outside right now looking up in the sky trying to see if I see anything. I'm serious. But I wanted to know that picture that you have with that somebody did a drawing of or whatever of those angels and those wheels and the Ancient of Days sitting on his throne. Where did you get that picture from?
I got that
I
off
need
of Google.
to show that to somebody.
I Googled it, and I put in the wheels of Ezekiel's wheels, and when I saw it, I said, that's a perfect picture. If you email me, I'll send it to you.
Okay, because that's a good picture as far as trying to explain what he was saying.
What he said.
That's real good. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I always thought, you know, the first time that the spinners came out, the car tires that spin inside and when I first saw it, I was like, oh, my goodness. I told my best friend, I said, that is what Ezekiel saw probably, because it was a wheel spinning inside of another wheel. Mm-hmm. So there's really nothing new under the sun. We think we just made something up. Nope, we ain't made up nothing.
Nope.
There's nothing new.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Yep,
nope.
And I could just see, you know, when I saw Independence Day. I'm not into sci-fi movies or anything like that, but I did see Independence Day. And when you saw that ship hovering over New York, I mean, the way they did it in the movies was just outstanding. Can you imagine real life?
Oh, ma'am, they can ready to see it. You ain't going to have to imagine, because they can ready to see it. It's getting ready to be real up close and personal. You ain't going to have to imagine it. And that's what I started the church for, because they're not preparing the people. The people are going to be so lost that they're not prepared. Let me tell you something. We have an army that's at our disposal. And, you know, every time I pray, when I leave the house, I'm like, y'all let your angels be encamped around me, you know, to protect me from all seen and unseen dangers, you know, because they are there. They are invisible. But believe you me, if it comes to it, if it need be, they will manifest themselves. Imagine what it's going to be like when the curse is over.
Right. That's right.
And then it tells you, it tells us that, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, to be mindful or be careful how we entertain strangers or how we treat strangers, because some have entertained angels unaware.
Yes, ma'am.
So I believe they all around us.
Yes,
we
ma'am.
just don't see it. And I believe that's why Elijah had to tell, you know, had to ask the Most High, you know, pull the scales off his eyes so he can see, and then he saw, because I think if we don't want to see, I think sometimes we don't see what we don't want to see. But it's all around us.
All around us. They walk. Well, you have different classifications of them, and from my studies, I get there are 9 of different classifications. And the angels that walk among us every day, they look like men, and you know, I believe
exactly. That's right.
And I believe, like I told them Sunday, they in them courtrooms. They walking up in the courtrooms. Believe me, of all these police officers that done shot these unarmed men and did what they did, those angels are walking up in the courtroom and they taking notes and they keeping notes and taking names of everybody. Right. You don't have to do nothing. You don't have to do nothing, because while everybody is smirking and they tell them that's what they deserve and they don't need no mercy, the Most High is not going to give them no mercy either.
Right. That's right. It is.
Now, he said, I will not acquit the wicked. But guess what? That goes for Israel too, because we can't be out there doing all kind of stuff and thinking that he going to have mercy on us.
Right.
Now, when you keep his laws, his statutes, but the thing that gets me the most is how was detailed with King Dawid and told him, put this together just like this. I want you to put it together just like this, and make sure you include a depiction of the chariots on the table of incense that the angels, the cherubims, travel in. So everything from the kingdom that the Most High has allowed us to see was in that temple. And the angels physically was there too. It's off the chain. I mean, when you really understand this thing right here, this thing is off the chain. And you looking at it like, man, this is the kingdom coming to earth.
And what is it that you think, and we can only speculate, if when the Most High led them with a pillar of smoke by day and fire by night, he did all of this, and that picture that you got of the camp, the first one that you show, I have that picture framed, and it's just a beautiful picture. But I'm just wondering, you know, it seemed like it happened so quick that as soon as Moses went up the mountain, they forgot what they saw. They forgot that he fed them. They forgot that he, you know, brought them out, you know, of Egypt. It seemed like it was quick. They forgot.
Why?
And
let me tell you.
Why? Please tell me why.
Because you dealing with the serpent seed. Some of them is Israel too. And even though they may have a moment, I had a guy tell me once, I mean, this guy will fast 3 times a week. 3 times a week. Pray, do all kind of stuff when he wanted to. But when he wanted to be wicked, he could be wicked. And one day, things didn't go the way he wanted. And he told me, he said, I don't care nothing about no God. And I was like, wow, you know, he said, I don't care nothing about him. And I'm like, wow, how could you go from being Mr. Sanctified one week to just actually just denying him the next week because of the serpent seed? They are among Israel. Some of them are Israel. Their attention span, you know what the Most High said? If you listen to the one that we talked about, Israel and the serpent seed, the YouTube clip, Yahweh Shah said something in the New Testament that blew my mind. The disciples said, why are you giving us the parable? It's in the parable of the wheat and the tare. Right. He said, why are you speaking to us in parable? And he said something very significant. I'm going to paraphrase it. He said, lest they hear and understand and repent, and I have to forgive them. He said, I don't even want them to know what I'm talking about because they're going to be destroyed. He said, even though they Israel, he said, I don't even want them to hear, understand, because if they hear and understand, then repent, I'll have to forgive them. And I was like, wow.
That's right.
It's in their nature to be wicked. They can't be anything else. They have serpent seed. And it's going to really take a true dedication of a person that has that seed in them to fight everything that's in them to do right. I believe they can do it, but it's some that really just don't care one way or the other. They'll do it as long as things are going good, but the moment things get heated, they out. He said, I don't care nothing about him. I don't care nothing about no God. And I was like, wow. I've never let that come out of my mouth in all the years that I've been living.
But talk about now, Aaron was the one that killed that calf. He knew better.
Say that again.
Aaron.
Yeah, he was the one that put the calf together.
Better.
It was the power of persuasion because listen, he had 1 million niggers at his throat.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, in the wilderness. And Moses was nowhere to be found. I guess Aaron said, y'all ain't going to kill me. Hooping and hollering and crying because they had been waiting on Moshe to come down from the mountain, and he had been up there to 1 million Negroes.
Well, I never think about it like that.
Trying to create a revolt, because guess what? When Moses did come back, guess what he said? Everybody that's with me come over on this side.
That's right.
Everybody with them go over on that side, and what happened to them? The ground opened up and swallowed their behinds in there.
Ma'am.
We got to think about the mindset of the people that we're dealing with today.
Right.
And people are so distracted. You know, that's a nice word to put. I'm going to use that word, distracted. That they don't even care one way or the other. As long as they got their alcohol, their weed, and their hair, their weave, and they got their fake eyelashes and all the stuff that they put on, that's what makes them who they are. And it's like, imagine them leaving with us and scared because of the things that they seeing in the sky, and then finally get out there and everything levels off and there's no more cell phones. There's no more internet. There's no more sugar for you to go crazy off of. Ain't no more weave. You done left with that weave in your hair. Ain't no more stuff to take it out. It's stuck up in there. You know, you going back to the bare you.
Right.
They're going to be some angry. You done got butt in cheek implants, and they done hardened like cement. Breast implants, and they leaking.
Ooh.
All this is mess that they got us caught up in. All this is mess.
Right. All right.
You walking around looking like an animated Nicki Minaj, and you don't realize that when we leave you, all that's got to, and you know what, I'm like, Lord, please help these poor girls understand that this is the trick of the enemy.
Right.
Imagine the mindset of them when they can't have no more marijuana. They're going to have to detox on the fly. Can you imagine?
Right.
It was the same way with Egypt.
And no murmuring or complaining.
And no murmuring. You better not.
Right.
That's the one thing I can tell you. If I can't tell you nothing else, you best keep your mouth shut.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
They got us killed last time. And like Brother Donnie always say, this is the last one. Ain't going to be no more. This is the last captivity, and this is the last exodus. Ain't going to be no more. So it's going to be a lot of dynamics to go along with these people because these people have sold out to the mess. They're going to have to trust y'all in a way that they have never done before. And imagine what that's going to be like for the people who know what's going on. So you're going to turn around and tell some of them, shut up.
Now, that'll be us moving ahead of the line, leaving them back there, because I don't want to be nowhere around when this go down.
You know what I'm saying?
About it. That's right. That's right.
Shut up. Because you can't have it no more. Ain't no more of that. It's over with. Ain't no more of that. So you're going to have to learn how to be a normal person. So my advice to them sisters is take all that mess out now. Don't get it if you don't have it, and don't let nobody do that to you.
Right.
All of that's coming. All that's coming. On top of the ones with mental illness. On top of the ones that's on medication. On top of the ones, it's just going to be a whole bunch of stuff, and that's how you're going to see it. It's going to be a whole bunch of stuff, and Yah say he is going to deal with them. He going to plead with them face to face. Some of them ain't going to come at first, so you ain't got to worry about some of them ain't coming. They just ain't going to be able to do that. My sister told me I got to have my weave, honey. I don't know what I ain't going to be able to do that. The pastor.
I love it.
He said, so you going to tell me you're getting ready to go out into the bushes and live in the wilderness? I said, most definitely. She said, oh, I ain't going to be able to do that. Because I got to have my weave. I can't go nowhere without my weave. That's where they have reduced us down. Ain't going to be no more fake fingernails. Ain't going to be no more none of that. They're going to be peeling them off as they go through the wilderness. You know how you use your teeth to flip that man? They're going to be flipping that man.
And them females with them tracks half in and half hanging down.
Ain't going to be no glue remove. Ain't going to be no more. All that's going to be over with.
Wow.
We're going to go back to the natural you, and y'all going to deal with us as a people. He going to deal with our heart because we have been brainwashed and bamboozled in these societies, especially over here.
Yeah, we have. We have.
We really have. We think we ugly. We don't think we pretty. We think that we have got to do these things to ourselves to make us look good. The men walk around with their pants hanging all down on their butt. And it's like, what in the world is going on?
Oh, that's understandable.
You know, these are what we're going to have to deal with if they leave, when we leave. Now, there's going to be a group, and I'm going to do a teaching on the wilderness again. They're going to come in phases. But guess what? If you don't leave in the first phase, you're going to be running up out of here in the second phase because there ain't going to be, unless you just give in and follow, and you follow Lucifer. You do have that choice. But guess what? I'm so sad to say the church don't even teach this stuff. They don't even tell the people about this. The people have no idea about the wilderness. They don't know anything about the chariots. They don't know. They said that Mount Sinai is still burnt on the top. The rocks is charred.
Wow. Well, coming from the church, recently, within the past year and a half or whatever, no, I have never been taught per se about the chariots or whatever, but I did step out on my own. And that's how I learned about all of that. I stepped out on my own and started, studying with my best friend, and we just went through it, and we went through Ezekiel and Revelation and Daniel. We did that for about 2 years. But I ain't heard that in no church.
And think about how many people that's been sitting up in it. Because every time I brought it up, they shut me down every single time. Don't start that mess. Don't come in with that mess. Don't start it. And I'm like, but it's right here in black and white. I don't understand why you don't see it.
And it's so crazy because I probably can quote all of the blessings of Deuteronomy 28 to you, because that's what I was taught. I wasn't talking about no curses. All I was taught, we are redeemed from the curse. You know, we redeemed from the curse and yada, 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 and all the blessings, and they're going to run and overtake you. Well, I'm 59 years old, and ain't nothing ran and overtook me yet.
That was my next question, was did it happen?
No.
Did anything run and overtake you?
And I always wondered what was wrong with me. I thought it was me. I'm like, what is wrong with me? And see, they make you feel, I don't believe they're doing it on purpose. But, you know, it's like if you're not being blessed abundantly, then there must be some type of sin in your life, or it must be something wrong. I thought something was wrong with me.
That's how they make it feel.
Exactly.
They throw it back on you as something you can never live. It was some sin in your life. You wasn't keeping that law.
Exactly. Look, and was sitting in church every Sunday.
Shoot.
And then I started asking questions, and that's when I, just kind of stepped back. I stepped back and stepped back because I just couldn't wrap my head around how come we're not keeping the Sabbath. I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I still didn't know anything about being a Hebrew Israelite. I knew nothing about that, nothing. But I knew something was wrong with that picture. Show me in the Bible where it changed.
Right, exactly.
Has anybody ever been able to show you that?
No, nobody showed me. Nobody. And I was a minister in the church. Nobody showed me, and I couldn't find it either.
Oh, I know.
And I was like, okay, then we've been redeemed, so, okay, then, but why these blessings ain't chasing me down and overtaking me?
Do you see now how deceptive that is?
Yes, and it's sad, and it makes me so sad. It makes me so sad for our people.
Yeah. Because they chasing after something that'll never happen. Not under that anyway. It'll happen once we leave here and come into the knowledge of who we are, because we have to come into the knowledge that we're Israelites, and we have to leave here. He said upon us leaving here, we will leave with great wealth. So, I mean, and not to say that once the curse happens that process may not start already. I don't know how he's going to do it. The one thing that he didn't do is leave us the playbook in any chronological order. So we're putting this stuff together as we see it, and we're going to have to know our Elohim and know how he reacts and pray to him so that we know what is him and what isn't, because it said that the deception is going to be so great that the very elect, which is Israel, will be fooled. And the lady said, are they brown-skinned? He said, no, they're black. She said black. He said black like the color black. He said they black. And she just sat back like, wow. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what's coming out of the heavens. We don't know how they're going to manifest themselves. I'm talking about the deception. We don't know.
Right.
We don't know, how many ships they have and whether they ours or theirs. It's just like Joshua. When the angel came down to fight for Joshua and them, he walked over to him. He said, are you for us or for them? We have to be able to ask that question. We got to know. But it's going to be so close because they coming out of the sky. Everybody is coming out of the sky. And I could have did a teaching on the wilderness and, Yahweh, or whether it's Yahweh or Yah. But the Most High led me in this direction because this is going to be the next thing I believe that's going to take place, is that we can ready to see vehicles come from out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be prepared. And then I happened up on a movie that I would advise everybody to see. It's called the Invasion Day. It's on YouTube. It is, I don't know what year it was, but it is on YouTube when you get a chance to see it. And it's not from the aliens, it's from another nation invading us. And it shows how people are so unprepared and how everything is just going to cut off. The car is going to cut off because everything is ran by computer chips.
Mm-hmm.
It made me look. I said, I'm going to get me an old car. I'm going to find me an old car, 1970 truck or something, because that's the only thing that drove.
Is it Independent Day? Is that the movie?
I'm sorry, say again?
I say, is it Independent Day? Is that the movie?
No, ma'am. It's called Invasion Day.
Oh, Invasion Day.
Yeah, but I will put it on. If you guys email me, I'll send you the link. The email address is the Yehudah Project, YEHUDAH, and then the word project, PROJECT, @gmail.com. The Yehudah Project @gmail.com. Now, I say that all the time, and nobody ever emails me, so if you want it, I can send you the link where you don't have to search around for it. But it just showed me, and I'm so glad that you all are listening, and you have water stored up, and you have food stored up, and you have candles, and you have all the things that you need, because at any moment we could have a cyber attack, and then everything is cut off.
Right.
First the cell phones went, and then after the cell phones went, the cars wouldn't drive anymore, and then after that, the lights went out. And, of course, the people in the movie had no water. They was drinking water out of the toilet bowl. That didn't last long. So I'm just saying, I know that everybody has really been listening to us, and they have those things stored up, even if you're drinking the water up, and restore. Any other questions? Anybody else have anything else you want to discuss? This was really good, and it gives you a touch of the supernatural, and it let us know we have a kingdom out there, and they have vehicles, and they're invisible, and they come and go as they want to. They travel at a speed that we don't have any control over, or we cannot mimic of any kind.
Right.
You know, and Yah has given them control over the Israelites. I mean, not control, but he's given them a mission to come in and out of here. He's very detailed. Oh, my goodness. You know, he sends his orders, do this, this, and this.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I think that it was very good. It had me charged. I've always loved this because, like I said, I know they exist. You know, I've seen some things in the sky. I've seen a couple of things driving home. Something was just sitting there. It just sat there. And it just glowed. It just glowed. And you could see, like, it was different colors in it. And it just sat there. And I'm driving. I'm going to run into a pole looking at it. Like, wow, look at that. You know, I've been here in my house, laying in my bed, and looked out the window, and there it sat, and there was a glow to it, and, you know, I was like, wow. You know? We have those. Go ahead.
You know, sis, I would like to, thank you for the class. I once again would say that you have me on the, experiencing all these different emotions again, as I usually do. But I want to say thank you, everybody, for their, compliments and participation. And, it was a wonderful class.
Thank you. I'm glad that, we have an opportunity to do this. And let me say something. I've always wanted to do this, especially dealing with the supernatural. I've asked Yah to be able to do this, and he has granted me my petition. I said, please let me teach this. Please let me tell them about the kingdom. Please, 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 please. And he has allowed me to do this. I've always wanted to do this, because I think people are scared of it, which by right, they have a right to be, but it doesn't take away the fact that it exists.
Right.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
We're talking about the angels, but what powers will we have? Because I have always said I can fly. I can remember being able to fly, and people just think that I'm hallucinating. But
no. I believe you'll be able to fly, too. I believe we're going to be able to do, the scripture says in Daniel, we will be able to do mighty exploits. So I believe, you know what my uncle told me before he passed away? He said that we were just sitting on my grandmother's porch talking. He said, back in the day, when we was back in the land, he said it said that the Israelites used to know how to fly, and they would use a carpet to be able to do it. He said, you know how we used to see Aladdin's carpet and all those movies? I said, yeah. He said, they were able to do that. He said, y'all didn't want them to do that, but we were able to do that. So sis, you know what, I can't knock that or say yay or nay to it because, like I said, it's supernatural. We have access to a supernatural kingdom, you know, and unfortunately for those who are still caught up in, you know, give and you're going to be rich and you ain't going to have to worry about nothing, they are missing out on the treat. And I believe we will be able to fly and do the things that we need to be able to do when the time comes. I do. Yes, ma'am. So I'm with you 100%. We're going to be able to do a whole lot of things, you know.
And one of the things that if you read the book of Enoch and you read how fast, I think it was Judah, it was a bunch of them, but I know Judah was one of them. They was running so fast they could outrun a horse.
That's possible.
It's in the book of Enoch.
Yeah.
I believe you. I believe all of that. We have the ability to do all things. We were able to do all things. It was nothing that we couldn't do. We were his people. So guess what? The part of the mind that we no longer use and the part of the mind that he shut down probably from us, we had the ability to open up that mind and do the stuff that we were able to do. Mighty exploits. And see, the bad part about it is the enemy is now telling the Israelites just meditate, sit in the corner and and your pineal gland gonna open up and You'll be able to go into travel in your mind in different places and and this is how you pray. And I said, I beg to differ, because everywhere in that scripture, when men prayed, they used the spoken word. It's the spoken word that's spoken out into the atmosphere, and words will come back and have power. That's why the Most High said, my words will not return unto me void. It will accomplish what it set out to do. So if they taking you on that journey where you sitting down and you meditating for hours, ain't no telling where you're going to end up, and you might not be able to make it back. And if you have figured it out and you're doing something, it can't be the power of the Most High Yah, because it could be the devil.
Right.
I have another question. I'm just so excited. The word says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in heavenly places. That being said, and we're talking about these chariots of fire, and we're talking about this spinning wheel like a whirlwind. If we saw that, just say if we saw something, let's say tonight, you know, how would we be able to differentiate between a spiritual being from the Most High or spiritual wickedness in high places?
Well, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. And right now, I don't think that we can unless the Most High lets you know that it's His. No, I can't give you a definitive answer to that. I don't know. You know, I just felt in my spirit that what I saw was Yah. You know, but again, you know, there are some of us, and let me show you the scripture. Let me pull it up real quick. There are some of us that are going to be fooled, because the scripture states, and do you guys remember? Let me pull it up because I got to figure out. My brain is not where it is. It says, if anyone is taken to the outermost parts of the earth, you know what that is?
No.
Okay, let's find it. Here we got it. Okay, Deuteronomy 30. I'm going to pull it up here, and I'm going to pull it up in the King James Version. Deuteronomy 30, chapter 4. Verse 4. Deuteronomy 30, King James Version. And this is what got me. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. Wait, what do you mean? Okay, let me open it up. Here we go, 30 and 4. It says, we're going to start off at 1. It says, and it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, listen what it says, when you're in this captivity, the blessings and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations where the Most High thy Elohim has driven thee, and shall return unto the Most High thy Elohim, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. When then then the Most High thy Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion on thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Most High thy Elohim has scattered thee. Now listen what he says. He says, if any of thine be driven out unto the outermost parts of heaven, from this will the Most High thy Elohim gather thee, and from this will he fetch thee. Now how you going to get out in space? And why he has to come and get you from somewhere? Somebody gonna be fooled, ain't there? Somebody gonna be taken somewhere, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's too much that has to happen first, if it ain't already been happening, because a lot of people have been abducted and taken off the earth.
Exactly.
You know. So it is a lot. Like I said, we have a lot that we have to contend with. We have a lot of things that we have to understand. But one thing we have to understand is that this is the kingdom by which he told us about. And these are the creatures that are in the kingdom. And they operate by vehicles. And the Most High comes by vehicles. You know, and my sister said, so you're trying to tell me that Yah travels in a spaceship. I said, I know how crazy it sounds, but that's what the words say.
Mm-hmm.
I know how crazy it sounds, but it's up to you whether you believe it or not. All right, any other questions? I think this has been an excellent class. We have this chat board line been going, boy. We had 97 messages in there. I'm excited. I'm excited with you, sis. We going to part 2 next week. So, like I said, now we're going to deal with the deception and how it's going to be so close to mimic the chariots and Yah coming that people are going to have to really know. And if you don't know, stand still. All right. Is there anything else before we cut the recording off? As a matter of fact, let me do that now, and if you want to hang around, we can for a few more minutes. I thank everyone for joining us this evening, and I want to say that we are definitely on Facebook. It is Nation of Yehudah on Facebook, and also on Twitter. It is Nation of Yehudah. We will be on the Blog Talk Radio Show tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the phone number is 718-664-9551. Invite your family to the show tomorrow to show you some things. I want you to be able to hear some things, and we look forward to you. We do. And don't forget the 2017 State of the Nation dress in September. If you can make it, we ask that you do. We're going to be in Cincinnati, Ohio. You can register at our website. It's www.NOY for Nation of Yehudah, and then the word monarch, MONARCH.us. And we have a registration form that you can fill out. If you want to donate to help us, there's a GoFundMe link as well that you can definitely do that. We'd appreciate anything that you can help us with. And because we're preparing for the 2019 Day of Repentance, the curse will be over, and we will be able to go before our Elohim and repent so that he can forgive us, and we will be on our way out of the lands of our captivity. And on that note, I say thank you for joining us, and I'm going to cut off the recording. On that note, I say